YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. Major 49ers coaching update. They have made several coaching moves that were just announced today. The most notable moves, they officially promoted Klay Kubiak to offensive coordinator. This move was actually expected. I think Kyle Shanahan, after this season, he had already mentioned that Klay Kubiak was going to be the offensive coordinator, but thanks to the Rooney Rule, they had to kind of delay that hiring and interview some of the minority candidates. But obviously, it was always going to be Klay Kubiak as the 49ers offensive coordinator for the 2025 season. So they promoted Klay Kubiak to offensive coordinator. That was not the only staff change, though. Mick Lombardi, a longtime offensive coach, offensive assistant within the NFL, is replacing Brian Griese as quarterbacks coach. Brian Griese declined a head coaching interview with the Jets and is now out in San Francisco as their quarterbacks coach. So again, Mick Lombardi will be the new 49ers quarterbacks coach. I was pretty surprised by the Brian Griese firing, I guess you could say. I don't know if they really left on, I don't know if they mutually agreed to part ways. Maybe Brian Griese was hoping that he would get the offensive coordinator position, but knowing that Klay Kubiak got the position, he said, you know what, I don't want to return as a quarterback's coach. I only want the promotion. It could have been something like that. That's just kind of a guess. Either way, definitely interesting. Didn't see Brian Griese being out as the 49ers quarterbacks coach, but here we are. So Mick Lombardi he's actually been with the 49ers in the past. He was actually with the 49ers during the Jim Harbaugh era. So he was hired in 2013 as the assistant to the head coach. In 2014, he moved to an offensive assistant. 2015, he was a defensive assistant. 2016, he was the offensive quality control coach. He had stints with the Jets, Patriots, and the Raiders as an offensive assistant. He was actually the Raiders offensive coordinator from 22 to 23, which I believe was under Josh McDaniels at the time. I know one of those seasons was with Antonio Pierce, I believe, but either way, he's been a long-time offensive assistant, and then the 49ers then hired him last year to be a senior offensive assistant, and then now they were promoting him to quarterbacks coach. In other news, Jake Lynch, the son of the 49ers general manager John Lynch, was hired by the team as their defensive quality control coach. So like his father, he played college football at Stanford and now joins the Niners as a defensive assistant. And then the other most notable move was Gus Bradley's title with the 49ers. That's something we've kind of been waiting on. He was hired as a defensive assistant, but there was never really there's nobody that came out and publicly said what his role would actually be with the 49ers, and his role will be the assistant head coach of the defense under Robert Saleh. So obviously, Saleh being the head coach of the defense as the defensive coordinator, sounds like Gus Bradley, as expected, will be his right-hand man with the defense, which I assumed Gus Bradley's title would be something like that. I even actually thought, that it could be the same title that Brandon Staley held last year with the 49ers as an offensive assistant or a defensive assistant / assistant head coach. But Chris Forster, the 49ers offensive line coach, was promoted to the assistant head coach. So Chris Forster, the Niners' longtime offensive line coach, now gets the nod for the assistant head coach under Kyle Shanahan. So multiple coaching moves for the 49ers. That this news came out just a few hours ago. But again, the whole Mick Lombardi thing and Brian Griese, that I'm shocked. I was pretty shocked seeing Brian Griese out in San Francisco as the quarterback's coach. I thought he worked very well with Brock Purdy. He was the quarterback's coach in 2023 when Brock Purdy was in the MVP race. So I'm pretty surprised to see him go. I don't know. Again, I think this may have been like, it was probably more on Brian Griese that he left more so than it was with the 49ers. Like I said, I mean, it could have been a situation where he wanted the offensive coordinator position or something like that, and knowing that he wasn't able to get that and that Klay Kubiak was going to be the offensive coordinator, he may have just said, you know what, screw it. I want to take, my coaching talents elsewhere and figure out how to kind of move up within an NFL team to being a coordinator or something like that. So I'll be interested to see if Brian Griese returns to being a coach next year, or if he just kind of takes a step back. Maybe he didn't like coaching. I don't know. It didn't seem like that. But like I said, man, I thought Brian Griese did very well with Brock Purdy. So I was definitely shocked to see that news. But again, Mick Lombardi, I mean, he's a long time, offensive coach within the NFL. I mean, other than a few stints here and there he had one stint as a defensive assistant. That was actually with the Niners under Jim Tomsola back in 2015. He was a defensive assistant for that team. And then obviously the following year moved back to the offensive side of things and was a coach. But yeah, man, definitely interesting, these coaching moves. Again, this was all released a couple hours ago. So let me know what you guys think of these coaching changes in the comments down below. Again, a quick rundown. Chris Forster, offensive line coach / assistant head coach. Klay Kubiak, officially the offensive coordinator. Mick Lombardi replaces Brian Griese as quarterback's coach. Gus Bradley is the assistant head coach of the defense under Robert Saleh. And then Jake Lynch, the son of GM John Lynch, was hired as the defensive quality control coach. Let me know your guys' thoughts on these coaching moves in the comments down below. Does any of these surprise you? How do you guys feel about Mick Lombardi now going to be working with Purdy? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.